Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Transform with Travel. I'm your host, Kelly Tolliday. I am here to share more about our experience here in Uruguay with Boundless Life. We are a family from Florida who decided to join Boundless Life in their La Barra, Uruguay location. They have over 8 locations around the world, 5 in Europe, one in Uruguay and South America, one in Japan, and one in Bali. And essentially, Boundless Life allows you to drop into each of those locations for 3 months at a time. They have specific start and end dates for different programs around the year. And they offer education, housing, co working center, experiences for the parents, experiences for the kids. It's really like a turnkey solution to living overseas, especially for world school families who want to maybe hop around a little bit more, 3 months here, 3 months there. Some families have decided to stay long term in these locations. So there's really a solution for each family depending on what they're looking for. And we had decided to join the Uruguay location in South America because we wanted to have access to Spanish immersion. We wanted to stay relatively with as close to the Eastern time zone as possible. We love Latin American culture. We love just the slow pace down here in Uruguay. And ultimately, we really love that it was a beach town with access to great surf and amazing coastline while also being really close to the countryside as well. So all these things wrapped up into one is why we decided for our first program to join the Uruguay location down here in South America. And for those that are listening who are interested in Boundless Life, I highly recommend you go to their website, boundless.life. They have all their locations, all the information. They have a pricing calculator so you can see how much roughly it would cost for your family, depending on how many family members, depending on the season. And then you can also use my code KELTOL11, KELTOL 11 for €400 off your first program. So when I decided to pick the podcast back up, I had initially paused it back in January. I decided to pick it back up because I'd been getting lots of questions about Boundless Life, lots of questions about Uruguay, lots of questions just about our decision to leave Florida for a little while. And so I decided to do a podcast series. And initially I thought it was going to be weekly, but now here I am 6 weeks in and I've only done 2 episodes. But as I mentioned in the last episode, where I recapped week 2 and 3, I think it was. Um, Life is full here. Life is rich. It isn't busy per se, like you're not like hustling from place to place like you would back at home, but it's full and it's rich and you're just really doing things that you love. And I just haven't had the time to do a weekly podcast, and that's fine. So here I am to recap week 4 to 6. And I have been dragging my feet a little bit on this one because we've had some high highs and some low lows. It's been we've been kind of like put through the ringer a little bit the past few weeks in terms of family, in terms of physical injury, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But this episode is really to talk about the reality of living overseas. I think a lot of people have fears about going overseas because of missing important memories and milestones with family, missing time that they could spend with family members who might be sick or might be passing. What happens when you get sick? What happens when you get hurt and you're by yourself in a foreign country? What do you do? There's all these fears that are really valid, and all of these fears have come true for us in the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I'm going to talk a little bit about the realities of that because I think it's very fair and very valid as to why you would be nervous to go overseas and leave your village at home if you have one. So sometimes people leave their home or leave their country because they don't have a village and they say, you know what, I don't like where I'm living and I'm going to go live in another country. And that's fine. I'm going to speak from the perspective of someone who has a really strong village at home. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of what my state back at home does on a political level, on a climate level. There's so many like macro issues that I have with my state of Florida at home, but my micro bubble of where I live, I've got, 3 or 4 of my closest best friends that live basically on the same street. My parents live 5 minutes away. They're super involved, super active in our lives. We love our school. We have the best school ever at home. So from a micro level, we have it all. We love it. It is hard to leave a village like that in search or in pursuit of a life overseas, of new experiences and expanding past our comfort zones. And all of these things that we can be afraid of when you go overseas, it makes it easier to have a village when you're at home, for somebody to bring you soup when you're sick, for somebody to just be there and witness you and while you're grieving. What do you do when you hurt yourself? You have your physio at home, you have your chiro, you have your acupuncturist, you have all the people that you need at home. What do you do when you're overseas? How do you even begin to find the right person? So I guess all that to say is I can really understand why somebody wouldn't want to leave their bubble, leave their village if they have like a really, really nice village at home. Basically, from week 4, I think I finished this last episode on week 3. From week 4 on has just been a whirlwind roller coaster. We have had, since we've been here, I think 3 or 4 cyclones, like high winds, high rain. The weather's been really up and down. Right now, it's beautiful and sunny and amazing, but it's also 45 degrees Fahrenheit. So for this Florida girl, it's really cold. It's been an adjustment for me just to get used to the cold water, not just being able to run into the ocean and, not have like a 4-3 wetsuit and booties and a hood on. Like it feels very trivial to say that, but it actually feels like a much bigger adjustment than I thought it would be. So between the weather being, really up and down, and for those that listen to the last episode, I mentioned the mosquitoes, and with the low temperatures have come the decimation of the mosquitoes, thank God. So I guess there's the bright line there. I also missed the birth of my sister's first baby, so I was not in the country and not able to fly up to see her and to help her, which so happy that her daughter's born and she's my niece, and it's so happy, but also there's a lot of grief around not being there for her in that way. We've also dealt with, I mean me, multiple injuries. So I came into Uruguay with a back injury that I was rehabbing for about a month and a half. Then that got better. Went out and went for a surf, caught a really nice wave, and I thought, yes, this session's going to be so fun. And I jumped off the board and something happened with the whitewash, and the board went smack bang right into my nose, and I was bleeding. I could barely see straight. I thought I was going to pass out in the water. It was super scary. So eventually I went back in and had an ice pack on my nose for about 3 days. A couple days after that, I twisted weird giving my girls a bath, and I strained something in my low back. And then a couple weeks after that, I did something else to my back, which I'll explain in a little bit. On top of all of this, unfortunately, one of the worst things that could possibly happen when you are overseas and not able to be close to family is someone passing away. And Sam's grandma, she passed away 2 weeks ago. And that comes with so many layers of grief. Of course, grief of saying goodbye, but also grief of, have we made the right decision? What are we doing over here? Are we missing time with family? Like, there's just a lot of questions that happen when something like that happens, and just trying to figure out logistics and having to make hard decisions. So all of these things have happened in less than a 6-week period. And so as you can imagine, there's a lot of ups and downs with that. More downs, unfortunately, than ups. But with each of these things that have happened, scary, bad weather, 3, 4, 5 really bad injuries. I haven't even gotten to the worst one yet. Someone that you love so dearly passing away, missing the birth of your family member's baby. With each of these things, we could have questioned why we're here. But because of the village that we have with Boundless Life here, it's only reinforced our decision to be here. It could have made us think, why are we here? What are we doing here? Are we making the right decision? Are we, just going on the spiral of like every hard thing being like, oh my God, like, what are we doing here? Is this, should we just be home? It would be easier. But instead, it's really made us realize how lucky we are to be here, and how lucky we are to be here with Boundless Life. And I say that because all of these things would have happened whether we were home or not. Like, all of these things would have happened in their own way. And we could either be home with an amazing village, of course, or we can be here and experiencing a new place and allowing these new people in our lives to uplift us. And I say that we are so lucky to be here with Boundless, because with each of these really hard things that have happened, and it's the reality of living overseas, The Boundless community, the other families, the parents, the staff, everyone reaching out to us on every single occasion, making sure that we're okay, giving us resources, holding us up when we can't stand up anymore. Like literally, I couldn't stand up a week ago because of my back. So it makes you realize that there are so many people out there that you have not yet met who want to be there for you, who want to be close to you and support you. And how lucky are we to have welcomed 16 new families and then 4 or 5 of the Boundless staff that live here, and then all of the local support that we've received by making friends with new people here that live here locally in Uruguay. It's enriched our lives so much to have included and opened ourselves up to all of these new people in our lives. And that's, I think, the secret sauce to Boundless Life is, yeah, you're going to have a great location and amazing education and awesome accommodation and co-working centers and experiences and activities. But really, the secret sauce of Boundless Life are the people that are going to be introduced into your life and the inherent village that gets built in when you say yes to a Boundless Life program. Because I've lived overseas for the majority of my 20s. I moved to Australia, I moved to Thailand. I've lived in different countries all around the world. It takes a long time to build a true village when you're on your own. Even if you're there, for a specific job, and of course you meet your coworkers and stuff like that, it still takes time to build a village that will drop everything and bring you soup because you're sick. Drop everything and take your kids for the day because you can't walk from a back injury. Who will come over and enjoy a barbecue with you when you're grieving because they know that you need to be distracted. All of this takes a lot of time when you live overseas. And the beauty about Boundless Life is they kind of strip away a lot of the like buffer time that it takes to meet people because you are all there in that experience and you are opening yourself up to these people faster than you might have done on your own, and also faster than you would have done likely if you were on your own. And even things like when I hurt my back, when, I've been sick, it's like, okay, here's the best physio in the area. Here's the best chiropractor. Here's where you can go if you need to go to the clinic or the hospital. It's like those things take so much time to build up your care team, like when you're at home, and to have these resources just handed to you from the Boundless team or from other families that have lived here before, it really cuts out a lot of the stress of living overseas. Just a quick recap of the past 3 weeks. So, week 4, I was feeling like a little bit all over the place. I was feeling a little down on everything. I don't know. There was just like, I wasn't really sure where my place was. I feel like when you first arrive to a new location, you're on a high. Everything is amazing. You kind of look at everything with rose colored glasses. And usually it takes somewhere between like 2-3 months to really start like taking those glasses off and looking at everything, and kind of like the undercurrent of doubt kind of creeps in a little bit. I feel like with Boundless Life, it's a little bit of an accelerator. So this seems to happen from what I'm talking to people around like week 4, week 5, a little bit of like, ooh, the high wears off a little bit and you're left with yourself and your decision to be there, and life starts to creep in no matter where you are. Work starts to pile up. Someone in your family might get sick after 4 weeks of living overseas, or things just start kind of like piling up a little bit by week 4, week 5. And I was just feeling like a little bit down at that stage. Also in week 4 is when I got the nose punch to the face from the board. So that was fun. Week 5, unfortunately, that's when Sam's grandma had passed away. And that day we had friends come over for a barbecue because the best thing for Sam at that stage was to be distracted. And it was just really beautiful to see how everyone dropped all of their plans that Sunday and came over with a dish and came over to play with the kids. And we had like 20 people in this small apartment that we live in. And it was just a really beautiful reminder of how strong the village is, even though we all had just met each other. Week 6 is when you go on mid-cohort break. It's kind of like a week where you get to take off from school. And a lot of families will go to different countries. Some families will travel around the country you're living in. Some families just stay in town and have a staycation and do day trips. We went away for a few days. We went up to Punta del Diablo and the Santa Teresa National Park for a few days. And then we went inland to a campo, to like a ranch or a farm, which was it was amazing. It really helped us pick our spirits back up. And then we got home on a Wednesday, and that Wednesday night, I partially dislocated my SI joint, again, giving the girls a bath. So that was extremely painful, extremely scary because I couldn't walk, I could barely breathe, I couldn't sit properly. It was pretty horrendous. But the way in which everyone swooped in so fast, because the next morning, Sam was flying home to the States for work. So everyone swooped in. Our local friends swooped in to help with the girls. Our other friend helped get me an appointment at the kinesiologist. My physio was on the phone with me within minutes doing rehab to try to get the joint slowly back in place. I was so mad and still am that this injury happened because I was like so close to be able to go out and surf and enjoy myself again. And I was just getting back into like more serious training and all of that after over almost 2 months of not training very seriously. And I was just so mad that this has happened, that this more serious injury has happened after 4 months of various different injuries. But I was also unbelievably grateful that we have all these people who dropped everything within Boundless. The families, the staff offered to take me to the hospital and translate. Outside of Boundless, our local friends who we've met here, I was just like, wow, within 6 weeks, we've built a really strong village here. And that is in part due to Boundless Life for being here. And I couldn't imagine that happening if we're alone in, a different part of the world. And it's possible. People do it all the time. I've done it myself. But it just made me feel so much more reassured that we have all of this support here. So I am still nursing that injury, and it's getting better slowly. And every day people are messaging, how's your back? What can I do? What do you need? And it just feels unbelievably supportive. I don't want this episode to kind of scare you because it's like, whoa, it's a lot. It's kind of like all your worst fears of things happening when you decide to go live overseas or spend extended time away from home. But it's the reality. And I think what people tend to think is like, I'm going to go on this break. I'm going to go on a 3-month break, a 6-month break. And unfortunately, life just doesn't get put on pause. Maybe your work does. Maybe certain relationships do if you want them to. But life will keep lifing. And there will be things that happen while you're overseas. If you're lucky, maybe not. But likely, more than likely, especially if you're traveling with kids, there are going to be things that happen when you travel or live overseas. And the village is what makes all the difference. The village is what makes you stay instead of run back home. And as someone who's lived overseas for the majority of my 20s in 4 different countries at this stage, the village is what makes or breaks the experience. This experience has been and will continue to be one of the biggest points of personal development, I think, for me. I've learned more about myself than I expected to, and it's only been 6 weeks. I'm hoping the learning can kind of chill out and I can integrate a little bit. I'm hoping I start to learn whatever lesson is coming my way, especially when it comes to the injuries. But I didn't want to shy away from being real about what's happening for us. And I'm still smiling. I'm still walking around our town just like in awe that I live here. And when I drive and turn a corner and I just see the ocean from all angles, I'm just like, oh my God, we live here. This is amazing. There's this really beautiful duality, especially when you live overseas, of some things can just really suck. And you just wish you could be home or get a hug from your mom or just have your doctor that you trust. Like there's just all these things that you're like, oh man, like it'd be so much easier if I was home. Even small things like I cannot find freaking peanut butter anywhere here. And I'm like, oh my God, I just want to find peanut butter. Just want to find aluminum foil. Like, why can't I find it? I go to like 5 different stores. There are going to be things that just suck. And then at the same time, you're reminded on every street corner, every interaction with a new person, every amazing view of the ocean or the countryside or the sunset, you're like, oh my God, this is the life. This is the life that I dreamed of a year ago or 2 years ago. I remember when I interviewed Elodie Forshaw, one of the co-founders of Boundless Life, almost like 2 years ago at this stage. The episode aired in December 2024, and it's episode number 55, Parenting Across Cultures. And I remember asking her kind of like, what is some of the biggest learnings that you see that parents have? Because we always talk about the benefit of traveling for kids, but we don't really talk about it from a parent's perspective. What's the benefit to the parent? And I remember her saying that one woman that she talked to said, "My kids really saw who I am, like who I truly am for the first time. I think my kids really saw that." And part of that is what she mentioned was because you can rest in knowing that some people have your back here. The village has your back. If you're sick, soup is going to arrive. If you're baking pancakes in your apartment and you don't have flour, you can run down 2 floors down and someone has flour for you. If you partially dislocate your SI joint and you can't walk, someone will pick up your kids and take them to the park for you that day. It's this rest in knowing that you have that community. It's the rest in knowing that that village is there to support you. That is some of the biggest points of transformation for parents, especially for those that don't have that at home. That always stuck with me. And I remember being like, wow, that sounds amazing. But then also thinking, I'm sure that's true, but maybe not for everyone or every cohort or every program. But the more that I speak to families that have done 2, 3, 4, 5 programs with Boundless, it is a consistent theme in every single program. So we are so excited that, we're going to continue with this program and continue living here in La Barra and be able to enjoy this beautiful land, also knowing and holding at the same time that there are sacrifices that you make when you live overseas and that there are hard things that are sometimes made harder when you live overseas. But because we know we have the support of the Boundless team, of the Boundless families, we feel a lot more supported in staying here. So this was kind of a long one. I know I was recapping 3 weeks. I also know that it probably wasn't the happiest episode to listen to, but again, it's the reality of living overseas. And I want to be honest and transparent about all of it. So the hook at the end, if you're interested in Boundless Life, if you're interested in a village, truly, please feel free to reach out to me and ask questions. I'm an open book. I am more than happy to be honest about our experience. I could not be any happier with the actual experience of Boundless Life. I could do without a few of the really, terrible things that have happened to us that are of no control of Boundless Life as a company. It's just life. But yeah, I'm more than happy to chat and talk. And if you want to use my code, feel free. It's KELTOL11, KELTOL11. I had to remember how to spell my last name there. You'll get €400 off of your first program. And for those that were wondering, because I actually get questions about this a lot too, I don't get paid from Boundless for this. If you use my code, I will also get a $400 credit for a future program. So I'm not getting checks from Boundless for sharing this. I just felt like there wasn't a lot of information, especially about Uruguay. And I just wanted to share as much as I could. I don't know when, where, how the next episode will be launched. If I'm going at my pace now, I did 1 week and then I did 2 weeks later and now I'm doing 3 weeks later. So maybe I'll do a wrap up of all of June at the end. Who knows? We'll see. I'm making no promises right now because I am just trying to embrace the Uruguayan culture of slowing down and enjoying the outside and the sun, even though it's 45 degrees today. It's way too cold. So yeah, no promises of when the next one will be, but my hope is that there will be less injuries to report on the next episode. All right, you guys have an amazing day. Thank you so much for being here.